Hello, everyone, and welcome to GATO 2020, Decoding the Future of Digital Sports and Gaming. Let's start our panel discussion on deliver high-quality games on more devices. I would like to welcome our moderator for the session, Mr. Pankaj Karna, MD, People Capital Advisors. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Introducing our panelists, we have with us Mr. Prasanjit, PlayStation National Head, Sony India, Ms. Lakshmi Kanulkar, CEO, co-founder of our game, Mr. Arijit Bhattacharya, founder and CEO, virtualinfocom, and Mr. Rohit Bhatt, CEO, 99. I would request the delegates to keep posting their questions in the chat box, and the panel will address a selected few at the end of the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this session. I think we have an interesting 45 minutes, hopefully. I personally believe is the future of gaming in India. We have seen a lot of action in real money and other aspects, but casual gaming in multiple devices is really the future. We have a very eclectic panel. We have a person. We have Rohit, who's created casual games and created world-leading traffic on his platform. We have Lakshmi, who develops games for various PCs and mobiles. We have Arijit, who's actually created. He's a device entrepreneur and selling devices, gaming devices internationally. And we have Prasanjit, who obviously leads the bellwether in gaming in India and at Sony. You're familiar with in terms of the PS range and other products. So with this, the way we are planning to do this is I'll leave it to each of the panelists to give a little bit of a deeper introduction about themselves. And then we come back to talking a few minutes about the sector and then getting into deeper discussions. We'll take questions at the end of it, and please feel free to put that in your chat box. Over to you, Rohit, if you want to, give a few minutes about yourself. Thank you. Rohit, you're on mute.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Pankaj. Hi, hello, everybody. I'm Rohit. I'm the founder and CEO of 99 Games, developing and publishing mobile games for the world market and as well as for India. Okay, so as a company, we have two-pronged strategy. We build the mobile games for the world market, which is where most of the monetization is happening for us, and we also keep experimenting in the Indian market by building contents which we download, but also monetize. And I think that's part of our ongoing journey, which I'll be happy to discuss about later today. But that's it. Yeah.
Thank you, Rohit. Over to you, Lakshmi, to talk about a little bit about.
Sure. Thank you so much, Pankaj, and hello everyone who's listening. So I'm Lakshmi, and I'm founder, CEO of Apar Games. Well, I personally have experience for about 20 years now in games, and in Apar Games, we have been developing games for Indian as well as global market, be it on mobile or on PC, whether it's a game for entertainment or for gamification, maybe. So that is so essentially everything in games and interactive entertainment is what we specialized in. And I'm looking forward to this great conversation that we are going to have.
Thank you. Over to you, Prasanjit, who's leading the Sony console initiatives in India.
So, hello, everyone. Prasanjit, I've been with Sony for the past 18 years, actually, half of which in consumer electronics across different platforms. And the other half, the last 9 years, I was privileged to work with PlayStation. We've seen the kind of growth in the adoption and excitement around console gaming these past years. And yeah, that's about it. I'm kind of part of the PlayStation team here in India, and good to be here with all of you. Thanks.
Thank you, Prasanjit. And now we have our device entrepreneur, Orijit, and he's doing some very interesting work. Orijit, over to you.
Thank you so much, friends, for the opportunity. IAI, and of course, kudos to Gato for the beautiful platform. Hi, this is Arijit Bhattacharya, founder of virtualinfocom, India's one of the oldest game development companies since 1998. I have a couple of hats, so let me tell you about myself. I'm Senator of India for World Business Angels Forum, which is a G20 country with finance and investment. I have been an angel investor for the last 16 years, and I have got one company based out of India called Entrepreneur Pace, focused more on growth fund, and I run another investment banking company called Abilu Global Digital, which is based out of Australia, Sydney, and I have a small base in Middle East, which is a VC fund that I represent as a fund manager. And of course, on technology front, I did quite a few work in virtual reality. I used to code on my own hands on normal coding, which is nowadays don't exist nowadays. It's used to call as virtual reality markup language. Nowadays, everything is happening on latest generation devices, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, of course, extended reality, which is a beautiful thing that is coming up. Of course, I'll be sharing you a few bit of understanding whatever we have done so far. So what we do as a gaming company, let me come back to the gaming company itself. We take a real life actor and actress and very humbly tell them that let us make you popular, and we convert them into a 3D gaming character, create a supernatural game title out of it, and then float the game into our own ecosystem, of course, in the mobile device as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arjit. So we have the intros done now. Just wanted to give you a little bit perspective about ourselves and the sector as we see it before we get into a deeper discussion and insights from the esteemed panel here. Uh, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. I represent Maple Capital, which is basically a boutique investment bank established in 2010. We are focused on consumer tech, gaming, amongst other sectors. We focus on M&A, private equity, and we are based in New Delhi. We have been focusing on gaming quite actively. In fact, our recent report's been quite widely quoted, and might be happy to you can download it from our site. It gives we are pretty intrigued by the fact the pace at which the sector is growing, how it's getting adapted, and how we have seen very good traction happening here, both investment and consumer traction. Just wanted to spend a couple of minutes on online gaming, what we are talking about, and how we see the market. It is very interesting. There's about 2.7 billion gamers, and India is a big part of this. About 300 to 400 million gamers is somewhere the kind of traction we are getting from India, and 85% of them on mobile. And this is because over 500 million people are connected on smartphone mobiles now. Overall, it's a 160 billion market, and consoles form almost one third of that market. Apart from this, gaming is also one of the cheapest forms of entertainment next to themes like Netflix, and 85% of games are free to play globally. These are some interesting statistics which came out of the Gamers Conference this year, and 73.5% of people prefer single games, and balance is mix and multiplayer. And consoles are preferred by men actually more than women. And Sony obviously is a market leader by a large margin, and they do over 167 million consoles. But India is still a long way to go there. It's about only 2 million combined consoles sold in India, and if you see, the Indian market has actually grown on back of very good traction on casual gaming, but also substantial monetization and traction on the real money side. So I think the challenge we face, and especially we are talking about more devices, is how do we create better traction, better monetization on casual gaming? And consoles and multiple devices are one very good traction on that. And we'll talk more about that. So, ballpark, we are great traffic on gaming coming from India. Values are small. Console market is, we are small but growing. And I think there is a high potential there for us to now move up the value chain here. Also, as we talking more about devices, I just wanted to give a sense that this is where various developing efforts, the developer efforts are directed to nowadays. If it's still, PC mobile followed by PS4, Xbox kind of focus. And this is extremely crucial in context of what we are talking, because the deeper developer ecosystem you have, the deeper traction you will get on your devices. And clearly, with the penetration, mobile and PC takes the lion's share. But I think that's something which is going to change, or at least is going to diversify as we go forward. So that's a few minutes from us, and uh, and I now move on to deeper parts of the discussion where we want to kind of talk about where we are in the space and how we want to expand it. So I want to, take, start with maybe Prasenjit, who's actually, live into the deep end of alternate devices beyond the mobile, and his experience, the traction they're seeing in India, and how do they see compared to other markets. Prasenjit, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Pankaj. Basically, if we look at it, if I take a few steps backward and ask ourselves a very fundamental question, that where is gaming in India? The one word that I can use to define that is basically we are still niche. Niche is the word that we can use, as compared to it's not part of mainstream entertainment like movies or cricket. So that automatically leads to the next question, that where do we want gaming to be? Obviously, we want it to become mainstream. So from a console perspective, what we've been doing over the past years is, I can speak for myself, that my primary objective has been, I've driven my team with the primary objective is to increase the size of the pie rather than grab market share, which is automatically follows that suit. So all of us have our roles to play. One of the very strong reasons why I wanted to join was just to understand everything that is done towards improving the status of gaming is kind of one added to the efforts to increase gaming in this country. So yes, and so that has been the effort that we've been trying to drive, and we see a lot of positive impact coming out of all these efforts. So when you have one gamer playing a game alone, it's always better to have two people, even if one of them is playing on a PC and the other one is playing on a console. So that is an added benefit. If that guy playing a game on inside a room by himself rather has the game being played on the center of the living room, that is a big addition to the overall efforts towards improving gaming. If two people are playing and 22 people are watching, that is even better. And that is exactly how gaming becomes mainstream. And I'll take a couple of minutes more to say that, unfortunate though it is, the pandemic kind of brought in new habits into India. Maybe OTT has been one of them. Gaming has also been one of them. So we saw a very big rise in console gaming in the past few months, and we see what we can say the beginning of the movement of that, maybe a console. I can speak for a console for that matter. Movement of a console from a standalone kind of a device to a center of the living room phenomenon. What we call a progress towards mainstreaming. That is it's a very strong kind of sign for us. And most of you are domain experts. Most of you are experts in gaming here, so it's a great learning for me. But what I understand that all these are different parts, but if we take an eagle's eye view of it, all of them, all of us working in our own areas are kind of adding to the overall excitement towards gaming. India kind of picks up speed a little slow, but when it does, the sheer size of the youth population that we have is very strong reason why, given the inherent strength that we have, when we pick up speed, then we can leave everybody far behind. And that is how gaming is headed towards. So whatever we are doing in our way, I am focusing on console gaming, all of us. I think even this discussion included is probably a step in that direction towards making gaming really big. So yeah, I'm very excited about gaming and overall great excitement.
Thank you, Prasenjit. Very interesting. I think it's you probably got the deepest insight on alternate devices. But having said that, mobile continues, and mobile gaming itself is a very new phenomena in India. It's not like a very old phenomena. And who better than Rohit to talk a little bit about his experience over the many years? He has done some great, casual gamings with world-leading traffic. So, Rohit, what do you think? How do you see this mobile as a device? Obviously, it seems that we are trying to talk more about beyond mobile, but mobile itself is a great device which has created awareness, and that is the first step to get into other devices as well. So, what has been your experience, interaction, monetization, quality of games? How do you see India's position on this? Over to you.
You look at the journey you generally need a couple of key ingredients for anything to be big. So in mobile gaming, it was mostly about availability of powerful devices at an affordable cost, which is now available in India. Phone is a great mobile gaming device. Then you need cheap bandwidth, and that is already available now thanks to Reliance Jio and others. We have very cheap data connection. Okay. Then third thing is actual the monetization habit. Right now we are probably the download we're number one in terms of download in the world. And if you look at the value, rightly said, the value is still it's yet to be built, and for a lot of developers, and they start seeing the value from all the effort that they put, the revenues coming in, they'll always be hesitating, in terms of investing in the content. Okay? And the fourth thing, is the actual, the actual localized content. Okay, anywhere in the world, ultimately, you monetize to consume content where they are able to relate to it. Right? Of the television year 2000 and all, the first few years of liberalization brought a lot of foreign programming to the country. But after that, after some 5-10 years, most of the top soaps in India were the local soap, the soap opera. Okay, so I think it is nothing but another form of entertainment, form of content, and we see with seeing magic happening with where we seeing content that is from a local perspective as developers to make that content available. I think every other piece of it is there. The devices are there, the bandwidth is available. I think the monetization habits will accelerate now, and being open to pay for their mobile phones. It's time for a lot of developers in the country to start building content that even people will relate to. Or now, as you put it, 600 million game can relate to. So yes, very very excited about where we're going now.
Great, Rohit. I think you're right, and there are some markets like Turkey, which are creating world-leading games, and there are. I mean, I was talking earlier, and Prasenjit even highlighted that it has become a neighborhood phenomena. There are gaming rooms, and there is active, very active ground level participation. We are already seeing that from RMGs seeding it, but it's a different consumer. I guess the casual consumer is also kind of gravitate. I mean, we have seen how FIFA has developed and other games. So, obviously there is good excitement, and Lakshmi, who's basically done this for many players internationally and in India. What has been your experience? How do you see this journey? Because as Rohit pointed out, content is king, and if you are able to do that, then that's going to drive better traffic, better monetization. So, what has been your experience, and what are the challenges you see?
Sure. So, yes, what Rohit said is absolutely right. That if the content is something that you can relate to, is appreciated. Now, it is also, and the gaming is just not the content, right? Because it's not a passive entertainment. It's more an active entertainment where the user is acting on the content, unlike a TV. So it's not only the content; it's also what also matters is where is the content being consumed, whether on mobile or on PC or on any other console. And because the device play on, that also adds to your experience. I'll give an example. So we developed this 5v5 multiplayer game, where 10 players can play together for a capture the flag, things like that. And we did this for PC and as well as on mobile. In India, we tied up with IGX and Comic Con and, demoed the game. We saw for PC, there was a great amount of interest in Indian audience too. So we said, yeah, that's a great. We did see that there is an opportunity, but after developing, we realized that the user, the mobile player, interacts with the game differently versus the PC. So even at your in your strategy of either development or even distribution strategy, it is important to keep in mind that which device is being where your content is getting presented, because you need the customization as per the experience of the content of the platform as well. Yeah, so that's my take.
Very interesting. I think obviously you are more motivated to do PCs and mobiles, but as the other phenomena kind of grow in terms of device penetration and all of that, certainly that could present interesting opportunities. So coming to other devices, obviously we have Arijit, who's created his own device and selling that internationally, developing in India and multiple countries. Arijit, what has been your experience? What have you created, and how do you see this opportunity? Do you see that any possibilities for this in India and the Indian developer ecosystem? How do you see that?
Okay, thanks for the question. Let me answer it in a different way. Let me share you a couple of failure stories so that you can understand how this ecosystem evolved so far. Probably in 2011, we launched a game called Shuku Duku, which became really popular in European countries. The concept of the game is pretty simple. It was taken from a folk story from Bengal. And in real life, kids need to adopt sometimes a cat, a dog, or maybe a fish. If he does that, then only they can actually take a picture and then the journey will continue. What happened from parents' point of view, those European people, they used to send us emails giving us a lot of reply in the chat box that their child's total mentality has been updated and uplifted. When he tried that, the same thing in India, it didn't click. Probably we were too early for the market. And then we launched another interesting fact, which is like when I was traveling to South Korea, I got in touch with the cosplay stuff. So we launched India's first cosplay e-commerce portal, and it failed like anything. We pumped in money and then we tried to put it like anything, and then 2012 to 2014 we run it in India. Then we stopped doing anything in India. We are now running it in the Asian countries. We're really happy that things are actually moving. Now, if you ask me about devices, trust me, India is not ready yet. The first and foremost factor is the bandwidth. So if you don't have proper bandwidth, whatever device you have, if you are actually selling your game or maybe distributing your game through cloud, it's going to be really difficult. I would love to show you a few of the example of our console games. For the, I think others, can you run the website called ashwathamagame.com? Is it possible? Yeah. So this was developed in 2012 as a mobile version, and then slowly we converted the whole game into the console level. The only reason is you have to actually go for the hack and slash. So if you really want to do the proper slashing, you need some kind of mechanism which cannot happen in only mobile. We wanted to give a proper kind of sword or maybe axe to the audience. And this is an interesting story. Let me take maybe 1 or 2 minutes. We actually tried to incorporate the Kalaripayattu fighting style inside the game, and we traveled to places. We talked to a couple of masters. We video recorded them, motion captured their movement, and then slowly we converted the whole thing into a gaming experience. Again, this failed in India. The only reason is we couldn't get any kind of ecosystem which was ready at least in 2012, 13, 14, or till 15, which can give us a satisfactory answer that yes, this kind of device is available and it is price sensitive. So what we did since 2015 onwards, I was thinking, can we do something cool, something which is more affordable to the next generation audience, which can probably convert our title games. I can go on with our titles, but I think for the sake of the time, I'll stop it with only one game. So we did this. We made a device which is in VR. If you can just stop the presentation, it will be great. Others. Yeah. So we developed this device, which is a solo virtual reality device. It doesn't have any kind of wire. It's complete wireless. It's connected with your cloud network. You can download any content over here. You can watch movies, and play games. You can, once you download the game, there are two different kind of module available for this device. One thing is for sure, you can play with these buttons. So there are two different level of buttons, which is giving you a satisfactory result where you can maybe step back or maybe move your hand or maybe move your legs. And then we have a second generation of this device, which is this one actually, um, which is giving you a motion sensor. You don't need any kind of button. It's a 180-degree motion sensor through which you can actually detect your hand and your leg. Can I have that video of this? Is it possible? So what happens when you turn this on as a motion sensor, it will actually give you a flexibility. I'll probably stop for the video. So as you can see, it is not at all connected with any PC, any other devices. It's a standalone one. It includes its own RAM and processor. It is detecting the person's hands and legs both. And he is fighting with another character, which is Mahishasur from our old mythological character, of course. It's a 3D one. So what happens when you use such kind of device, you can have a number of possibilities, and those possibilities are really huge. So we are building a game for football with one of the finest football player for Liverpool. And what we are doing, we are actually simulating everything so that as a player, as a gamer, you can learn how to play football. And it's not a kind of, you are inside a football game and some other players are actually playing with you. It's going to be more of a teaching module through which you can learn and understand how to play football. You don't need a actual football with these kind of devices. So football will be in VR, and you can learn according to the total tutorial base. Now you call it as a game or you call it as a maybe edutainment, depends on you. But when you look at such kind of devices, I can go on with devices like we have tied up with a Korean company who developed gesture control rings. So you don't need any kind of motion capture device. If you have a AR glass, that AR glass can be connected with that gesture control rings, and you don't need this kind of this kind of devices. It's just like this kind of small glasses with gesture control ring. You can play in augmented reality. So those kind of things are actually happening in various part of the world. I'm talking about Brazil. I'm connected with. I mean, we are connected with another company who are doing amazing stuff with cryptocurrency. So they have incorporated cryptocurrency enabled payment system inside the games. So when you talk about devices, when you talk about gaming ecosystem, honestly speaking, the subject is so vast, so huge. Like all of us can probably go on with that particular subject, like maybe hours and hours. But coming back to India, my personal feeling is India is developing, and we will probably see India developed just like Western countries or maybe Asian countries. Those guys are, maybe some people say that those guys are crazy, but the fact is, if you go to these Asian market, they are so passionate about such kind of gaming characters, maybe on superheroes or maybe their popular characters. Sometimes they convert their own attire or maybe their eyes or maybe their face to look like that kind of character. Sounds crazy, but sometimes what what happens when you check on the IQ balance. As per my understanding, my small understanding, if you're playing some kind of game which is on FPS, and maybe you're playing some kind of game which is on maybe using your brains, that is actually enhancing your kids' IQ level. So there is a gap that's happening, at least from parents' point of view from India. We feel that if you're playing games, you are probably doing something, horrible, and you shouldn't play game or you shouldn't develop game. And I have been talking to a lot of engineers who are becoming game programmer. Huge respect to these guys who are actually developing games. They are actually the guys who understand maths, physics at the same time programming. So until unless from parents' point of view, we give them the respect and say that, hey, okay, fine, my kid, he is a game programmer. That is perfectly fine. Maybe he is not developing some kind of ERP, but he is doing something amazing using AI itself. He is using ML itself. It's not that they are only using some kind of C sharp language as for the sake of C sharp language or maybe C plus plus. I think that's needed more on. That's more my take rather than devices. I think we need an ecosystem. We need a balance in the universities where probably they can have gaming as a syllabus in a mainstream. Fortunately, I created one syllabus for one of the university here in Calcutta. They are running it in two colleges over here. But I think we need more of these kind of ecosystem, and we need more of such kind of device-centric programmers. It's really hard to get such kind of programmers, such kind of designers. And I'm sorry if I'm taking a lot of time. It's kind of maybe I'm talking
No,
out
no,
loud.
I clearly see, Arijit, you're really passionate about it, and congratulations of creating Indian stories in collaborating internationally, selling it internationally, and obviously hoping that India moves fast enough for you to sell in India as well. So I think it's interesting. I think the ecosystem part is very important. We've had the IT sector kind of take off over the last 15, 20 years and seen how it's contributed. I think gaming with the size, $160 billion industry, presents phenomenal opportunities. And I think we have heard, and maybe Prasenjit, you had some, since you represented the CI as well, you have seen certain state governments kind of support some of these initiatives, despite not supporting a lot of gaming sectors. But they have supported development and making development centers out of India, I was hearing from you. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that and also your experience on how you are seeing it India versus other markets.
Uh, well, as I just mentioned, that for India, gaming is yet not a mainstream entertainment, which it is in the rest of the world. I think Arjit, in some way or the other, echoed that sentiment as well. So basically, here the ones who are passionate about gaming, that's a very small section of consumers who are basically excited about gaming. Now, what we have seen in my hundreds of events, thousands of events that we have conducted, customer facing events and shop floor, my time spent on the shop floor, I realized that customers basically who buy a gaming device are basically, they don't take that decision on the shop floor. That decision is taken playing with a friend or seeing a friend play. That's generally it's peer pressure, how it happens. Now, because the size of the population is low, therefore, the influence level is automatically lower. As this grows in size, the overall section it becomes big. So, which is not the case with a mainstream entertainment. People watching, let's say, a movie, they're discussing. They watched, let's say, a Delhi crime. So 10 people talk, 100 people talk, 1,000 people come to know, another 10,000 come to know, and that's how it kind of escalates. It becomes a tipping point of that skill. Gaming, it's beginning to happen. It requires, for gaming as an ecosystem to develop, it requires many factors are required to kind of make that overall grow. It needs gaming enthusiasts, which is gamers. It needs, of course, the development studios to come in and set up base, which kind of, in a way, supports the gamers in seeing a journey for themselves and for their parents to see that, oh, this, as something that Rajit just said, I have a future. He can look at programming and be a part of this. There is, let's say, a Rockstar who has a setup here, or a Ubisoft, and more of these development studios. Third, what you just mentioned is that government enterprise to kind of add a booster to that. So when there is because it's not easy. I think our other panelists here are experts in that, who can say that it's not easy to set up. It's not so easy. It costs money. These kind of setups are very expensive. So if the government helps in providing land, in kind of giving subsidy for machinery, the expensive machinery that is imported, then it kind of, the whole ecosystem gets a boost, and then the thing develops. So you need all these people. You need excited gamers. You need creative people, talented people, people who are technologically strong at the same time, who have that creativity, the bent, both of which are not lacking in India, I'm quite sure. And the third is government help, a kind of incubation support at that point of time when it is on its nascent stage. After that, it becomes self-sufficient. This is something, coming to the third point that you mentioned, is that, yes, we've had in one of our discussions a representative from the Telangana government coming in, and they are kind of setting up this kind of thing. More of this is needed across India. When this happens, then kind of developers or people who see themselves being a part of this industry, because it not only means qualification, it also needs, it needs somebody to be really passionate about gaming to be a part of it. All these gentlemen and lady who are here are kind of passionate about gaming. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been here in this business for so long. So you need somebody to act as a stimulant. If the government does that, then I think gaming will kind of develop very fast. So I believe that's a very good step in the right direction. Right.
No, great. Thank you. I think clearly it's really, really essential to get that support. We have all the ingredients here. I've been telling in various fora that we have all the ingredients in India to become great developing centers. So, Lakshmi, you have been actually developing these games, and you think some of that support will help. What are the challenges you face, and for you to become even bigger in developing games across platforms? What are your views, both positive and challenges?
Sure. So I would say that when I started this firm, this started in 2008 or so. And the challenges that I had to overcome were immense. I mean, right from, obviously, we started with the concept of that we would do the services for the world, learn how it is, and then use it for our own game development. That was the strategy, and it was at every step. It was really important for us to prove that, okay, we can do it. Even India does have a talent for games, and we can do it. Because when I was saying that we can create games, we were not even considered, or as India saying that, yes, you do have a great software engineers, but do you really know, you guys really have game programmers? And this was the question that I had to face all the time. Yeah, so yes, probably those times have now become easier because the tools like Unity and Unreal and other gaming engines are day by day making things easier for a lot of people to at least try doing game development. Now, being said that, once the tool part is sort of sorted, the next logical thing comes is that gaming is a business where you have to try multiple things before you get your one big hit, right? And to do that with your own money and your friends' money, it's really going to be expensive. So certainly anybody in the ecosystem can help. If it's government, obviously the government support would certainly boost this gap of someone trying to do something new, or trying at all, would definitely help if government helps us. Also, any other, maybe a platform owners, or maybe the program owners or the technology owners could help to incubate these talent. It's important because, as Rohit rightly mentioned, is that content is the king, right, today. And if I want to try something different than what is running in the market, you know, I need some support to believe in my passion and my dream. When I say my, I mean I'm representing sort of every developer who wants to create something new. Because if a new and a creative idea has come on board, there's a lot of trial and error that goes behind it. And I know how hard I have tried to, evaluate various things. And of course, it gives you a lot of immense amount of knowledge which you otherwise do not get. So the issue with India is that we are in game development per se, and also in a gamer per se, we are probably a decade behind the other world, uh, in terms of gamers and as well as development. So for us, it is a little more harder than otherwise, to try something out and learn something. So learning curve is much more, a difficult curve here for us.
No, great, Lakshmi. I think we have a few minutes. I'll ask Rohit to come in, but one of the points I want to highlight is really coming out. I mean, India gaming has taken off a back of mobile penetration, and mobile has given access and market. So Rohit has been an early mover in that and created some phenomenal mobile games. And what has been your experience, and how do you see, and what are the challenges in a couple of minutes, so we can take one or two questions and close the panel.
I think the journey from, even so much in gaming.
We can't hear you clearly. You want to you want to maybe put off the video and then speak?
Yes. So what I was saying is there are two areas of support. One is government support is always welcome. We saw what happened in software export when STPI was established in 1999 or 2000, and the whole IT industry took off. So government support is always great, but if it doesn't come, probably in terms of talent, I think I'm seeing a lot of change in the last 4 5 years now. There's so much of talent coming in, and whenever we attend an industry event, we see that clear change from last year and this year in terms of the quality of talent and the kind of questions they ask. That we are improving by leaps and bounds over a period of time. But all this talent, all these small companies need access to capital, or investment. Probably a 10 lakh investment or a 50 lakh investment or a crore investment, because all these people have ideas. The ideas are all there, and there is a platform now in terms of mobile where people can build something quickly and see if it will monetize or it will gain traction. But I think that part of it is missing. And I think if there are very gaming focused venture capital firms which are willing to do seed and series A level kind of investment and show improvements in traction as well as company offtake, I think that is exactly what this industry needs at the moment. I think everything else is there. We need capital that can bet on the incredible amount of talent that is there in this country now, for it to go to the next level.
Can I hop in?
Mr. Karna, you're on mute.
Absolutely need for a seed fund to propel the sector. Ask various authorities to need to canvas to see if we can carve out there, because the market is big. India is getting bigger. We need the ecosystem. Couple of questions. I'll quickly take one or two questions and we close this. I think the first question is quite interesting, and I maybe ask Prasenjit to kind of talk about it. It is about how have the dynamics of the industry changed post introduction of console and PC based games on mobiles? Would you like to take that? Because I think that's clearly in your domain.
Yeah, so I think I'll answer it from a consumer point of view. In this, that the moment a consumer who probably owns a console and his friend doesn't own a console know that they can play with one another, I think that is one of the first steps in the direction of increasing the acceptability and excitement around gaming. So I would say that whenever this happens, this is great news. Fortnite, for example, very popular in mobile phones, playable on a console, is great news. Though I understand it comes with a pain point, as Lakshmi mentioned, that there are roadblocks on that. But I would still say a multi-platform ability for a game to be played across actually increases the acceptability of gaming, and I think that's good news. That's a great thing to happen.
Just to add to that, someone's asked that considering the ease of availability of low costs of mobile and internet, how are mobile gamers being pulled towards console gaming, which needs them to incur a greater investment?
Well, I'm going to answer this by giving a completely different example. That the moment there is of course a huge market, there is a huge captive audience for mobile phone gaming. Some of them would not be satisfied with a mobile phone gaming. They would want a bigger experience, and that creates a platform for people to kind of go ahead and play a console gaming. The same logic applies to people taking photographs on a smartphone and then deciding that this is not enough for me. I would like to buy an SLR and go into the next level. So I think in a way, it's a great mobile phone gaming is complementary to the growth of console gaming, or for that matter, PC gaming, more serious kind of gaming.
Great. I think we have run out of time, so we can offline answer any other questions. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for a
Prashanjit,
very
can I add
exciting.
something?
Sorry.
Pankajji, can I add something?
Yeah, sure, Arjit, please.
Yeah. So we are talking about, I think Rohit was asking about the access to capital and probably few of the VC funds who can maybe check Indian gaming community for investment. Um, with my small background, so I actually didn't give my full details. So I'm a consultant to Asian Development Bank along with a couple of other banks worldwide, including few of the largest banks. So we actually look at the companies from the perspective of how you are actually going to give the return of investment. So whenever you are pitching is for the audience, for the maybe the indie developers or maybe the existing companies. What I have seen so far, which is lacking in India, from the perspective of Indian gaming company as a gaming company owner, sometimes they lack the point of how they are going to do the ROI. Number one. Number two, what is the exact pain point that they're probably trying to solve? So there is a huge lack of understanding. I agree on that part that in India we have very limited number of investment bodies who are more focused on gaming or maybe deep tech. I would call as deep tech. Maximum funds are more focused on something which is different. They are looking for maybe some traditional or maybe who is doing well. So there is a huge opportunity. There is a huge opportunity for Indian gaming companies, not only the indie game companies, I mean, the established ones, because their pipeline is so strong, they can always create a structure so that they can have maybe a growth fund or maybe series A or B. Now, actually, when you look at the indie game developers, they have nice idea, great ideas, all acceptable. But when you talk about investment into the company, they don't have any company. Okay, so rather than pitching to an investor, they should pitch to the publisher. There is a huge difference between publisher and investor. So I think this message should go to the indie development studios instead of applying to the investment bodies or maybe the established VC funds. They should go for the seed fund or they should go for the publisher. Once they can crack the deal, this is the right time to raise capital. That's my small understanding, maybe from the larger fund. And if any help requires, of course, I'll be more than happy to help, more than happy to help from whatever small and big strength I have.
Thank you, Arijit. Very kind of you to kind of give that additional insight. Over to you, and I think thanks everyone for their time. I hope we've been able to give some insights. Prosenjit, sorry.
No, I think I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much to all our speakers who made this discussion super exciting and enlightening. Another thanks to our platinum partner, Apps Flyer, and digital growth partner, Innovi. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.